They say power doesn't corrupt, it reveals. But what does it reveal when a man holds absolute power over the greatest empire on earth and decides to burn it down? He was loved like a god and hated like the devil. Some called him a visionary artist, others a lunatic drenched in blood. He sang while people screamed, smiled as his city turned to ashes, and murdered the very woman who gave him life. But here's the haunting question. Was Nero truly the monster history remembers, or the victim of a story written by his enemies? Because sometimes the darkest legends are born not from evil, but from those who survive to tell the tale. This is the untold story of Nero, the Mad Emperor of Rome. Nero was born Lucius Domitius Ahenobarbus on December 15, 37 AD in the seaside town of Antium, a child born into power, prophecy, and darkness. His father, Gnaeus Domitius, came from noble blood but died when Nero was just 3. His mother, Agrippina the Younger, was something else entirely: brilliant, ruthless, and dangerously ambitious. She was the great-granddaughter of Augustus, Rome's first emperor. To her, power wasn't an ambition, it was destiny. When she married Emperor Claudius, she did it with one goal in mind: to place her son on the throne of the world's greatest empire. And when Claudius mysteriously died, perhaps poisoned by her own wife's hand, Agrippina's plan was complete. At only 16, Nero became emperor of Rome, a boy, a puppet, a prodigy. But soon, a storm was brewing behind those young, innocent eyes. At first, the empire sighed with relief. The philosopher Seneca and the general Burrus guided Nero like father figures. Taxes were lowered. Justice was reformed. Capital punishment was restricted. For a while, Nero was adored. He walked among the people, listened to their songs, even opened Rome's treasury to rebuild its temples and markets. He outlawed the abuse of slaves, gave voice to the poor, and made peace with the Parthian Empire, one of Rome's greatest rivals. To the common man, Nero was hope reborn. But the Senate, Rome's powerful elite, looked at him with disgust. An emperor who sang in theaters, who mingled with artists and slaves? To them, this wasn't humility, it was humiliation. And Agrippina, the woman who had built him up, now wanted to rule through him. But Nero was no longer her boy. He was Rome's emperor, and no emperor shares his crown. Power and love rarely coexist. Agrippina tried to tighten her grip, whispering orders, threatening Nero's allies, even plotting with his stepbrother Britannicus to overthrow him. When Nero discovered the betrayal, he acted swiftly. Britannicus was poisoned at dinner. Then came the moment that sealed his fate. Nero invited his mother aboard a ship specially designed to sink. When the plan failed and she swam to shore, he sent assassins to finish the job. As blades approached, Agrippina uttered her final words: "Strike the womb that bore this monster." The line echoes through history, poetic, haunting, maybe fabricated, yet symbolically perfect. That night, Nero didn't just kill his mother, he killed the last voice that tethered him to reason, and from her death, a monster was born. With his mother gone, Nero unleashed the side of himself Rome had feared. He abandoned governance for indulgence, theater, music, lavish feasts, endless orgies. He performed on stage, wearing costumes, playing the lyre before crowds ordered to applaud. He saw himself not as ruler, but artist of the empire. But art turned to arrogance. He divorced his first wife, Octavia, the woman loved by the Roman people, and later had her executed under false charges. His passions turned darker, a blur of lust, jealousy, and fury. He married Poppaea Sabina, but one night, in rage, he kicked her to death. She was pregnant with his child. From that point, Nero's world spiraled into madness. He embalmed Poppaea's body, visiting it nightly, weeping beside her lifeless form. He found a young boy named Sporus, who resembled her, castrated him, dressed him in her clothes, and called him his wife. Even the gods must have shuddered at such a sight. Then came the fire. July 64 AD. AD, the city of Rome ignited. For 6 endless days, flames tore through temples, homes, and markets. People fled in terror. Entire districts were turned to dust. The legend says Nero watched from his balcony, playing his fiddle as Rome burned. But the truth is murkier. The fiddle didn't even exist. He was away at his villa when the fire began, and he returned to open his palace to the homeless, feeding and sheltering thousands. But perception is more powerful than truth. When he began rebuilding the city, not for the people, but for himself, his reputation was sealed. On the ashes of Rome, he built the Domus Aurea, the Golden House, a palace of unimaginable luxury, with a 120-foot statue of himself at his gate. And to deflect blame, he found new victims, the Christians. He tortured them, burned them alive as torches to light his gardens. The empire's pain became his spectacle. Rome had witnessed cruelty before, but never this kind of theater. As paranoia consumed him, Nero's world collapsed from within. He executed senators, exiled advisors, and silenced anyone who questioned him. Even his mentor, Seneca, was ordered to commit suicide. While Rome starved, Nero staged grand performances, racing chariots, singing poems, pretending to be heroes of myth. He was adored by flatterers, but despised by those in power. Once, he declared himself the greatest artist on earth, and in that declaration, he revealed the truth. He no longer ruled Rome. He ruled only his delusions. Rebellions broke out in Gaul and Spain. Governors declared independence. The Senate branded Nero a public enemy. Even his Praetorian Guard, his personal army, abandoned him. Alone, terrified, Nero fled the palace where once thousands bowed before him. He ran through empty halls, crying, "Have I neither friend nor foe?" At last, surrounded and hopeless, he took his own life with the words, "What an artist dies in me." The boy who dreamed of creating beauty died in the most tragic performance of all, one of blood, betrayal, and broken dreams. After his death, Rome rejoiced, but also mourned. Some claimed to see him in visions. Others whispered he'd return to reclaim his throne. For centuries, Nero was painted as the Antichrist, the embodiment of evil itself. But what if the truth was more complex? The records we have, written by Tacitus, Suetonius, and Cassius Dio, came from the very elites who despised him, the senators whose power Nero had stripped away. Was he a tyrant or a ruler destroyed by propaganda? Yes, he murdered, he indulged, he lost himself in fantasy, but he also dreamed of peace, of art, of a Rome reborn through beauty. Perhaps Nero's tragedy isn't just his cruelty, it's that his humanity, his longing to be loved, was swallowed by his hunger for glory. And in the end, the fire that destroyed Rome might not have been his doing, but the reflection of the fire that consumed his soul. From the boy emperor to the fallen god, Nero's life is a haunting lesson in how power twists the heart. He sought love but ruled through fear. He dreamed of greatness but created ruin. He wanted to be remembered as an artist, and he was, but as an artist of destruction. 2,000 years later, the ruins of his palace still whisper his name, and the flames of Rome still